I woke up in my husband's body that morning, staring at the ceiling of our McMansion in suburban Chicago, feeling the scratch of his 5 o'clock shadow against the pillow I'd bought with my own sweat. I'd swapped souls with Richard, my golden boy attorney husband, overnight, courtesy of some black market neurotech I'd smuggled from a Silicon Valley underground lab. And the first thing I did was piss in his $500 Italian loafers to mark my territory. By noon, I was signing divorce papers in his own looping scrawl, framing him for embezzlement from his firm's slush fund, and watching his world crumble from the inside out, because revenge isn't just a dish best served cold, it's best served wearing the bastard's skin. The alarm blared like a goddamn air raid siren. That obnoxious beep 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 Richard insisted on because it kept him sharp for depositions. I bolted upright, or at least tried to. My arms felt heavier, my chest broader, and when I swung my legs over the edge of the king-sized bed, my feet hit the Berber carpet with a thud that wasn't mine. I glanced down, expecting the familiar curve of my hips in those ratty Victoria's Secret boy shorts I'd worn to bed after another 12-hour shift at the ad agency. Instead, there was a hairy expanse of thigh, boxer briefs riding up like they were trying to escape, and a gut that jiggled just a little too much from all those client lunches I never got invited to. What the actual fuck? The voice that came out was deep, gravelly, Richard's voice. The one that charmed juries and bullied interns. I clapped a hand over my mouth, feeling the rough stubble, the fuller lips that weren't mine. Panic clawed up my throat, but I shoved it down. This was no dream. This was the neuroswap I'd paid a fortune for. The experimental black market device that promised total immersion for undercover ops but got repurposed by desperate souls like me. I'd injected it into my neck last night after he'd passed out drunk on scotch, whispering the activation code into his ear like a lover's secret. The lab techs in that dingy Oakland warehouse had sworn it was reversible, 48 hours max. Then poof, back to your own meat suit. But right now, with the November chill seeping through the floor-to-ceiling windows of our Lake Forest home, all I could think was, holy shit. It worked. I stumbled to the bathroom, flipping on the light and confronting the mirror. Richard's face stared back, square jaw. Salt and pepper hair slicked back like he was auditioning for a Wall Street sequel. Those piercing blue eyes that used to make me weak in the knees.
Now, they just made me want to punch something.
I was Taylor Goddamn Hayes, or whatever last name he'd slap on me after the divorce papers I'd forged last week in anticipation of this very moment. 20 years old when we met at Northwestern, me the starry-eyed psych major, him the third-year law hotshot with a trust fund and a smile that could close any deal. I dropped out to support his climb, paying his bar exam fees, his student loans, even the down payment on this house while he built his practice. For years, I'd crunch numbers at that soul-sucking agency, coming home to cook his dinners and pretend I didn't notice the lipstick stains on his collars or the late nights at the office that smelled like Chanel No.
5.
Betrayal? It started small. A forgotten anniversary. Whispers from mutual friends about that associate in his firm. Then the big one, 3 years ago, during a routine audit. The IRS came knocking. Embezzlement from client trusts, hundreds of thousands funneled into offshore accounts for his gambling habit. Richard, cool as ever,
Pinned it on me.
Taylor handled the books, he'd told the feds. His hand on my knee under the table, like we were in this together. I took the plea deal to keep him out of prison. 18 months probation. A felony on my record that killed any chance of advancing at work. And a mountain of legal fees that left me scraping by on ramen while he bought a Porsche. All because I loved him. Or thought I did. The secret he'd buried? Those accounts weren't just for poker nights in Vegas. They funded his double life with Elena Vasquez, the junior partner who'd been climbing his ladder since day one. I splashed water on my face, the droplets beating on skin that felt foreign and clammy. The swap was holding. I could feel the neural links firing, syncing his muscle memory to mine. I had access to everything: his phone passcode, our wedding date, the romantic bastard,
His email.
the biometric lock on his office safe. 48 hours to dismantle his empire, expose the lies, and swap back before anyone noticed. But first,
Coffee. Black.
no sugar, just like he took it, because God forbid a man dilute his masculinity with cream. Down in the kitchen, the stainless steel wonder I'd remodeled on credit, I fired up the Keurig and scrolled his phone. Text from Elena. Miss you.
Tiger.
Last night was fire. When's the wife signing those papers? A voicemail from his partner. Harlan. Rich. We need to talk about the Vasquez merger. That kickback smells off. I smirked. Oh. It smelled off.
All right.
Harlan was in on it. The whole firm was a nest of vipers. But Richard was the king snake. I deleted the messages, then pulled up the divorce petition I'd drafted under his login last month. It was ironclad, no fault, but with clauses that gutted him: alimony reversal, asset freeze, even custody of our golden retriever,
Max.
whom I'd raised from a pup while he was too busy. By 8 a.m., I was in his Mercedes, navigating the Dan Ryan Expressway toward downtown, horns blaring around me like the city's perpetual rage. Rush hour in Chicago, construction everywhere, cabs cutting you off, the L train rumbling overhead like Judgment Day. I tuned the satellite radio to NPR, Richard's go-to for sounding intellectual. But my mind raced. The plan, step 1. File the divorce from his own IP address, making it look like he'd finally snapped and cut me loose. Step 2. Leak the embezzlement docs to the feds, time-stamped from his computer. Step 3. The coup de grace, an anonymous tip to the Bar Association about his affair with Elena, complete with photos I'd snapped during stakeouts. Controversial? Hell yes. I'd be ruining lives, torching bridges I'd helped build. But after carrying his sins on my back for a decade, it felt like justice served with a side of spite. His firm occupied the 42nd floor of a glass monolith on Michigan Avenue, the kind of place where the views screamed power and the coffee was ethically sourced from small-batch roasters in Colombia. I nodded to the receptionist. Carla, sweet kid, probably banging the mailroom guy, and she buzzed me through without a second glance. Elevator up. The mirrored walls reflecting a man in a Tom Ford suit. Tie knotted perfectly because his hands remembered how. My heart hammered, but I breathed deep, channeling every courtroom drama I'd binge-watched on lonely nights. Richard's corner office overlooked the Loop, Millennium Park glittering below like fool's gold. I locked the door, booted his MacBook, Retina display, encrypted drive that I'd cracked with a phishing email weeks ago, and started uploading. First, the divorce filing to the Cook County Clerk's portal. Petition for dissolution of marriage, Hayes v.
Hayes.
Grounds, irreconcilable differences. I'd worded it viciously. Accusations of emotional abuse, financial neglect, even a veiled nod to infidelity. Taylor Hayes, the petitioner, me in my own body, would get the house, the savings, the works. From his side, it looked like suicide by bureaucracy. Next, the USB. I'd prepped it months ago. A tiny SanDisk loaded with gold, bank statements showing the siphoned funds, emails between him and Harlan plotting the frame job on me. Audio recordings of him admitting the affair during a boozy firm retreat. I'd hidden mics in his car. His briefcase. Paranoid? Maybe. Desperate? Absolutely. The files were timestamped to his devices, making it airtight. I plugged it in, copied over, then emailed a backup to his personal Gmail, CCING, the firm's ethics hotline. A knock rattled the door. "Rich, you in there?" Elena's voice, sultry with that faint Texas drawl.
Shit.
I cleared my throat, dropping it an octave. "One SEC.
Babe. Babe.
The word tasted like acid. I straightened the tie, unlocked, and there she was, porcelain skin, red power suit hugging curves that used to make me insecure, dark hair cascading like she stepped off a L'Oreal ad. She sauntered in, closing the door with a click that echoed like a chambered round. "Missed you this morning." Taylor's yoga class ran long again. Her fingers trailed my arm, nails like talons. I forced a grin, Richard's trademark smirk, and pulled her close enough to smell the betrayal on her breath. Minty and fresh.
Yeah.
Flexible as ever, I muttered, my stomach churning. She kissed me, him, deep and hungry, and for a split second, I almost gagged. But I played along, hands on her waist, mind cataloging every detail for the leak. When she pulled back, eyes sparkling with that predatory gleam, she whispered, "Harlan's pushing the merger vote today. You sure about framing the books on that intern? Kid's green. But it'll cover our asses. Our asses." There it was, the secret within the secret. Not just the embezzlement, but a full-blown Ponzi scheme wrapped in real estate deals. Elena as the architect. Richard had been the frontman, charming investors over steak at Gibson's, while she crunched the lies. And me? I'd signed off on expenses without questioning, trusting him like a fool.
Now,
hearing it from her lips, it was ammunition. "I'll handle it," I said, voice steady. "But first,
lunch?
Morton's? Celebrate early." She beamed, oblivious, and I escorted her out, planting a seed of normalcy. Back at the desk, I forwarded her confession, recorded on my phone in his pocket, to the USB. 48 hours ticking down, and phase 1 was locked. Lunch was a farce. Morton's on state, dim lights and aged fillets, where power brokers cut deals over Bordeaux. Elena chattered about billable hours, her foot rubbing my calf under the table, while I nodded, sipping club soda to keep the neural sync sharp. My phone, his phone, buzzed, a text from Taylor, me, in my body, sedated at home with a tranq dart I'd learned to administer from YouTube. No. Wait, that was the genius. I'd hired a lookalike escort from Backpage, paid her to impersonate me for the day, crash at the house, and field calls. Cost me $5,000, but worth every penny to buy time. "Everything good at home?" Elena asked, slicing into her salmon.
Pizza, elite.
Forking a bite of steak that tasted like cardboard in this mouth. "Taylor's been
distant.
Thinking divorce." She paused, fork midway.
Good.
"She's holding you back."
Rich.
That whole supportive wife shtick is so 1950s. "We could run this city. Run this city." Ambition like venom. I chuckled, low and dark, his laugh. Not mine. "You're right. Papers are in motion." Her eyes lit up, And she clinked her glass to mine. To new beginnings, she toasted. To your downfall, I thought. Back at the office by 2 p.m., the merger vote loomed. Harlan's office, mahogany and cigar smoke, with partners circling like sharks. Richard, pushed it through, voice booming with false confidence. While under the table, I texted the escort, stall any visitors. Play the part. The vote passed 7-3, sealing the fraud. Minutes later, from a burner app on his phone, I leaked the docs to the Chicago Tribune's tip line. Breaking, Windy City law firm in massive fraud scandal. They'd bite. Always did for a juicy insider scoop. As the sun dipped, casting the city in bruised purples, I felt the first crack in the swap. A twinge behind my eyes, like a migraine brewing. The text warned of neural fatigue after 12 hours. I popped an Adderall from his desk drawer, his little helper for late nights, and powered through. Phase 2, the feds. An anonymous email from his VPN-routed account to the U.S. Attorney's office. Attaching the USB files. Internal audit reveals systemic corruption at Prescott and Hale. See attached. By 6 p.m., the office hummed with unease. Whispers in the halls. Interns glued to their screens. Harlan burst into my office, face like thunder. Rich. What the hell? Cops downstairs. Something about financials. I leaned back, feet on the desk, his power pose. Probably a glitch. Let me handle it. Inside, elation bubbled. The hook was set. That night, back in the McMansion, the escort, bless her, named Brittany, had whipped up lasagna and walked Max, earning brownie points. She vacated with a wad of cash and a NDA, leaving me to collapse into bed. In the mirror, Richard's reflection looked haunted, bags under eyes that weren't mine. I whispered the reversal code into a voice recorder, backup plan if things went south. Sleep came fitful, dreams of Elena's laugh morphing into sirens. Day 2 dawned with chaos. My phone exploded. Voicemails from Harlan were fucked. Elena, call me now. Even the escort panicking. Cops at the door? I dressed in his Brooks Brothers armor. Kissed Taylor's cheek cold, since it was just me playing both sides, and headed out. The divorce filing had hit the courts overnight. A process server was en route to serve me, him, with papers in my name.
Perfect.
Downtown. The Loop was a madhouse. Protesters outside City Hall over some police brutality case, blending into the financial district's frenzy. Prescott and Hale's lobby crawled with suits and badges, FBI. White collars starched and serious. I strode in like I owned the place, flashing Richard's ID. Mr. Hayes, a Fed in a windbreaker, badge-reading Agent Kowalski, stepped forward. We need to talk. About. I feigned shock. Heart pounding. The leaks. Your name's all over them. Mine. Outrage.
Pitch perfect.
This is insane. I demand my counsel. They cuffed me gently for a white-collar guy and Mirandized me in a conference room turned interrogation cell. Kowalski laid it out. Wire fraud. Money laundering. Conspiracy. The merger was unraveling. Investors pulling out like rats from a fire. Elena was in holding, singing like a canary to save her ass, blaming Richard for everything. I lawyered up with the firm's outside counsel, a shark named Lipschitz who billed $1,200 an hour. In the holding cell, waiting for arraignment, I accessed Richard's phone one last time via Bluetooth earbud, smuggled in by the escort's drop-off. Final upload. The affair photos to the Bar Association. Tagged with Elena's confession audio. Ethics violation. Conflict of interest in Vasquez merger. Arraignment was a circus. Cook County Courthouse. Marble halls echoing with sobs and shouts. The air thick with desperation and cheap coffee. Judge Harlan. Irony of ironies. No relation presided. A no-nonsense black woman in her 60s with a rep for skewering liars. I stood in the dock. Orange jumpsuit clashing with my pedigree, while Lipschitz blustered about procedural errors. Then the bombshell. The divorce petition was entered into evidence, cross-referenced with the fraud docs. Your Honor, the ADA intoned. The defendant appears to have initiated divorce proceedings against his wife mere hours before these allegations surfaced. Suspicious timing. The gallery murmured. Reporters from the Sun-Times. A few firm associates. I caught Elena's glare from across the room, mascara running like black rivers. Lipschitz spun it. Coincidence? Your Honor. My client is the victim here, framed by internal rivals. Judge Harlan arched a brow. Framed? By his own computer logs? Proceed to bail hearing. That's when I played the card. From the defense table, under Lipschitz's nose, I slipped the USB to a runner kid, prearranged via text. Exhibit A for the defense, the kid announced, breathless. The judge plugged it in, the projector flickering to life on the courtroom screen. First file, Richard's voice, slurred from scotch, confessing to me his wife about the frame job.
Babe.
I had to.
The debts.
You understand, right? It's just paper. Gasps rippled. Elena bolted up. That's doctored. Next, bank trails. Clear as day. Richard's signature on every divert. Then the kicker, Harlan's emails. Plotting the Ponzi. The judge watched, stone-faced, until the final audio. Richard, mid-tryst with Elena, laughing. Taylor's such a mark. Pays the bills. Takes the fall. By next year, we'll be in the Caymans, sipping Mai Tais on her dime. The courtroom froze. Then Judge Harlan threw her head back and laughed, a deep, rolling guffaw that cut through the tension like a knife. Mr. Hayes, she said, wiping her eyes. If this is your idea of marital strategy, I suggest law school refunds your tuition. She banged the gavel. Bail denied. Remand pending trial. And counsel? Get your client a muzzle. The gallery erupted, flashes popping, shouts of scumbag. I was led away, smirking inwardly as the neural twinge intensified. 24 hours left on the clock. Revenge tasted sweet, even in this body. But as the cell door clanged shut, a whisper in my ear, my own voice, faint through the swamp echo. Taylor, what have you done? Hallucination? Or was the line blurring? The Cook County Jail smelled like bleach and broken dreams. A concrete bunker where trust fund lawyers like Richard rotted alongside gangbangers and deadbeat dads. They stuck me in a solo cell, perks of white-collar status, but it was still a 6x8 box with a slab bed and a toilet that stared back like an accusation. I paced, the jumpsuit chafing against skin that itched with phantom sensations, the ghost of my own breasts, the sway of hips long gone. The neural fatigue was hitting hard now, headaches pulsing like a bass line at a South Side club. I needed the reversal serum, stashed in the McMansion's wine cellar behind the 98 Cabernet. But getting it meant outsmarting a system built to grind you down. Word spread fast in lockup. By lights out, The guards were smirking when they slid my tray through the slot, mystery meat and jello that jiggled like Richard's excuses. "Heard you got served by your own missus." "Hayes," one jeered. A burly Irish guy named O'Malley with a mustache like a broom. "USB stick?" Cold-blooded. I flipped him off with Richard's middle finger, thick and veined, and retreated to the bunk. Sleep was a joke. Every creak echoed the what-ifs. What if the swap glitched permanent? What if Elena talked her way out, pinning it all on me, on him? What if Taylor, real Taylor, sedated and oblivious, woke up to this mess? Morning brought the circus. Bail hearing redux, but now with media hounds baying outside the courthouse. The Trib's headline screamed, "King of the courtroom caught in fraud fiasco, wife's revenge." Somehow, they'd spun the divorce as my masterstroke, painting me the wrong spouse with a tech-savvy twist. Brittany the escort had vanished with her payout, but not before leaking a tearful interview to a podcaster. Taylor's devastated. Years of loyalty. And this. Genius misdirection. I'd scripted it myself. Lipschitz met me in the consult room. Ty Askew. Smelling of last night's bourbon.
Rich.
This is bad. The judge is calling it entertainment value unprecedented. Elena's flipping says you're the mastermind. She's just the dupe. Harlan's lawyered up separately, pointing fingers everywhere. I leaned forward, elbows on the scarred table. Then we fight dirty. Subpoena Taylor. She'll corroborate, say I confessed everything. He blinked. Your wife? The one you just tried to divorce? Risky. She's got motive to bury you. Trust me, I said, channeling Richard's arrogance. Motive? Understatement. But in the chaos, it'd buy time. Lipschitz nodded, scribbling notes, and I slipped him a coded message on a napkin. Contact T. At agency. Urgent package. He'd forward the reversal serum via courier, discreet. Expensive, but doable. Court reconvened at 10 a.m., the gallery packed with rubberneckers and true crime junkies live streaming on their phones. Judge Harlan entered to murmurs, her robes swirling like a cape. Mr.
Hayes, you've made my docket the talk of the town.
Let's see if you can keep the laughs coming. The ADA, a slick kid named Patel with a Harvard sheen, called Elena first. She took the stand in a demure blouse, playing the victim card, wide eyes, trembling lip. Richard manipulated me. Your Honor. The affair was coercive. He threatened my career. The finances? I signed what he told me to. Lies. All of it. I'd heard her plot the schemes over pillow talk, her ambition sharper than any knife. The jury box, 6 men, 6 women, a cross-section of Chicago's weary middle, leaned in, hooked. Objection. Lipschitz thundered. Hearsay and character assassination. Sustained, Harlan snapped. Stick to facts. Counsel. Patel pivoted, cueing the USB files on the screen. More audio. Richard's voice, damning as hell. We split the take 60-40. Elena. You're cut for the brains. The courtroom tittered, nervous energy crackling. Then my turn. I took the stand. Hand on the Bible, did it burn?
Nah.
But the hypocrisy did. Under oath. I spun the tale, contrition mixed with deflection. I strayed. Your Honor. The pressure of the firm. Taylor bore the brunt. She paid our way while I chased shadows. Tears, real ones, from the strain, welled up. The women jurors softened. The men shifted uncomfortably. Patel cross-examined like a pit bull. You admit to fraud. Mr. Hayes, to framing your wife for your crimes. I admit to mistakes, I parried. But Elena orchestrated it. Check the timestamps. She initiated the transfers. Murmurs swelled. Harlan silenced them with a glare. Enough theater. We'll reconvene tomorrow for motions. Back in lockup. The package arrived, Lipshitz's runner. A jittery paralegal with a manila envelope marked legal docs.
Inside.
The vial glinted like liquid salvation, hidden in a false bottom. I palmed it during yard time. The chain-link pen a gray world of push-ups and posturing. O'Malley watched, amused. Plotting your escape. Pretty boy. Just justice, I muttered, slipping the serum into my sock. Injection site. Neck. Same as activation. But timing was key. Wait for the swap window to peak. Around hour 36. That night. Dreams fractured. I was Taylor again. Folding laundry in our first apartment. Richard's arms around me. Promising forever. Then the swap inverted. I was him. Laughing at a deposition. Her tears fuel for my rise. Woke sweating. The cell spinning. Neural bleed. Memories crossing wires. His regrets seeping into mine. A childhood of daddy's belt. Law school as escape. Me as the one soft thing he broke, without meaning to. Day 3. Hour 40.
Court was electric.
Patel dropped the bomb. A witness. The lab tech from Oakland. Subpoenaed overnight. Anonymous tip led us to the neurotech black market, he testified. Voice quaking. Custom device for identity immersion. Purchased by Taylor Hayes 3 months ago. The gallery gasped. Harlan's gavel cracked. Explain, Mr. Patel. Body swap. Your Honor. Mrs. Hayes allegedly used experimental neural tech to inhabit her husband's form, committing these acts from within. Chaos. Reporters surged. Lipschitz sputtered. Elena shrieked. It's insane. She's framing him, me, us. I froze on the bench. Serum burning against my ankle. The twist I'd planned? Backfiring spectacularly. The tech traced to me, my prints on the purchase order. My IP from home. Controversial didn't cover it. This was sci-fi madness in a real courtroom. The kind that birthed hashtags and think pieces. Harlan adjourned. Face thunderous. All parties to chambers.
Now.
In the back room. Wood-paneled and stuffy. She faced us down. If this is true, we've got identity fraud on top of everything. Mrs. Hayes, where is she? The ADA shrugged. Vanished. Your Honor. House empty. Dog missing. Me, Richard, sweating bullets. It's a lie. She's unhinged, always was. Lipschitz. Sensing blood. Plausible deniability for my client. If Taylor orchestrated. Quiet. Harlan barked. Tech analysis on the USB. If it traces to her neural signature. Heads roll. Panic clawed. The reversal had to happen now. Or I'd be trapped, charged as accomplice in my own revenge. Under the table, I uncapped the vial with trembling fingers, jabbing the neck. Fire lanced through veins, synapses screaming. Vision blurred, Richard's hands flickered to mine, slender and scarred from paper cuts at the agency. The room spun. Elena lunged. He's glitching, as my body convulsed. Harlan hit the panic button, guards piled in. But as the swap reversed, truth inverted, I slumped, Taylor again in her skin, while Richard's form across the table gasped awake, eyes wild with borrowed memories.
You.
What did you do? His voice, my voice now, high and breaking, choked out. I straightened, dress materializing in the haze. No, the jumpsuit hung loose on my frame now. Paid the bills.
Rich.
For years. Your debts. Your lies. Your life. Time to settle up. Guards hauled me away. But Harlan held up a hand.
Wait.
Identity confirmed. The tech guy nodded. Scanner beeping. Taylor Hayes. 100% match. The chamber erupted. Patel. Conspiracy. This changes everything. But Harlan, ever the showwoman, chuckled low. Changes? Hell. It rewrites the script. Mr. Hayes, or whoever you are now, divorce granted. Assets to the petitioner. And that USB? Admissible. Laughable. But admissible. Richard thrashed. Taylor. Please, we can fix this. I met my old eyes.
Cold.
Fixed? You framed me for your sins. Buried our life for her. Nod to Elena. Cuffed and sobbing. Now watch it burn. As they dragged him out, the neural echo lingered, his fear, raw and childlike. Mine, too, a sliver of doubt. Was this justice? Or just another cage? Outside. Rain slicked the streets. Chicago's pulse indifferent. Brittany waited in a rental Civic. Max in the back. You good? She asked. Better, I said, sliding in. The house was mine now. Legally. But the realtor sign was up. Sold to the highest bidder. Fresh start in Austin. Maybe. Or LA, where reinventions paid. Twist's aftertaste, the tech left traces. His memories in me, flashes of love, real ones. Hers in him, Elena's confession now his burden. Debatable win. I'd freed myself. But at what cost to sanity? The fallout hit like a Midwest blizzard, swift, blinding, and impossible to shovel away. By evening, CNN had picked up the story. Chicago wife's sci-fi revenge. Body swap or breakdown? Pundits debated on panels. Shrinks diagnosing delusional Munchausen by proxy. Lawyers drooling over precedents. I drove the rental through the loop's neon haze. Wipers slapping rain like applause. Max's head on my lap, offering the only warmth. Brittany chain-smoked in the passenger seat. Scrolling feeds. You're viral.
Girl.
Swap and slay trending. Viral.
Great.
I'd gone from invisible agency drone to national punchline overnight. The neurotech? Front page in Wired. Black market brain hacks. The future of domestic warfare? Regulators were scrambling. Labs raided. But mine was a ghost op, paid in crypto. No traces, but the ones I'd left on purpose. Back at the McMansion, no. My mansion now, I uncorked the '98 cab and toasted the empty kitchen. Marble counters I'd picked for their cool Italian lines. Sub-zero fridge humming with takeout containers from happier days. Max nosed my hand, tail thumping forgiveness. Sorry.
Buddy.
Daddy's in the clink. Richard. God. Even thinking his name twisted like barbed wire. The divorce was rubber-stamped by midnight, emergency filing. Harlan expediting with a wink. Assets frozen pending trial. But the preliminary ruling favored me. Petitioner's extraordinary measures notwithstanding, evidence of marital inequity is overwhelming. Inequity. Understatement of the century. I'd paid his bar dues, $45,000. His Porsche lease, $1,200 per month. Even Elena's first Birkin as a firm gift, he'd expensed to our joint account. While he golfed with judges at Olympia Fields, I balanced books till my eyes bled, covering his poker losses with overtime from campaigns that glorified the very corruption he embodied. Sleep evaded. So I unpacked the USB backups on my laptop. Old Dell. Scarred from coffee spills. Files upon files, his browser history, Pornhub and offshore betting sites. Voicemails from mistresses pre-Elena. Even a hidden folder labeled T's Sins, fabricated docs he'd planted to seal the frame job. The crime I'd borne? Not just the felony rap, it was the erasure. Taylor Hayes. Reduced to the wife who cooked the books, unemployable. Isolated. Her dreams of grad school buried under his ascent. Dawn broke gray. Coffee bitter as regret. My phone real mine. Not his buzzed. Mom in Peoria. Voice cracking. Taylor? The news. Is it true? Body swap? Honey. Come home.
Mom.
The eternal enabler. Who'd co-signed our loans because Richard's a keeper. Keeper of secrets. Maybe. I assured her it was overblown, hung up, and fielded the next. A book agent from New York. Memoir potential huge. Advance? 6 figures. Call me.
Tempting.
But first, loose ends. I drove to the agency, Wacker Drive high-rise. Glass facade mocking my reflection.
Boss.
A paunchy ex-frat boy named Greg.
Met me in the lobby.
Eyes darting like I'd brought the feds. Taylor. Jesus. We saw the coverage. Need you to.
Take leave.
Indefinitely. Fired. I arched a brow. Channeling Richard Steele. Voluntary sabbatical, he hedged. Liability. I slid a folder across the reception desk. My own USB. Slim and silver. Play this. Then decide. Greg's office. Corner view of the river churning brown. He plugged in. Face paling at the audio. Richard's voice. Schmoozing clients I'd landed. Crediting the team while pocketing bonuses. Then emails, him bad-mouthing me to HR. Taylor's unreliable. Emotional. The kicker. Proof he'd poached my pitches for his pro bono speeches. Netting speaking fees he funneled back to the slush. He unplugged. Sweating.
This.
Changes things. Reinstatement? With back pay. Promotion, I countered. Creative director. And a corner office. He swallowed.
Done.
Welcome back.
Power.
It hummed like the first drag of a forbidden smoke. Heady. Addictive. But as I signed the papers, a pang hit. Was this me? Or echoes of him? The swap had leaked ambition into my veins, turning victim to viper. Afternoon brought visitors. Lipschitz. Hat in hand. Begging a meet. We grabbed shakes at Portillo's, greasy heaven. Italian beef steaming. Rich is crumbling. Taylor. Wants a deal. Plead to lesser. Name you co-conspirator. Pass, I said, dipping fries in cheese. He confesses everything. The frame. The Ponzi. Elena's role. I walk. He whistled. Ruthless.
But the tech.
Feds want you for questioning. Experimental device on U.S. soil? DEA's sniffing around. Let them. The lab was torched, my insurance policy. Tell him, no deal unless it's full mea culpa. Lipschitz left. And I wandered the mag mile. Holiday lights twinkling premature against the chill.
Saks.
Neiman's, windows dripping excess. I bought nothing. Instead, a stop at the Apple Store for a new iPad. Apps for secure drops. Next target, Harlan. A burner call to his wife. Anonymous. Ask about the Cayman's trip. And the intern who quit. She hung up sobbing. By evening, he'd resigned in disgrace. Elena was last. Via video link from Cook County Women's, courtesy of a sympathetic guard, I faced her on screen. Pixelated and pale. Taylor, she sneered. Hair limp. You crazy bitch. Stole his body? That's not revenge. That's psycho. Psycho. I leaned in, camera catching my smile, sharp, unyielding. You stole my life. Slept in my bed. Spent my money. Let him hang my failures around my neck. She laughed. Brittle. You were weak. Clinging to a man who pitied you. We built something real. Built on lies. I cued the final file. Her voice. Merger night. Dump the hag. Marry me after the divorce. We'll frame her again if she fights. Send it live to the feed. Her eyes widened. No. Bar hearings tomorrow. Enjoy the disbarment. Screen went black. Catharsis? Partial. She'd slither. Always did. But the power structure crumbled without her. Night fell. City lights a constellation of sins. Back home. Max curled at my feet as I drafted the memoir outline, chapters on betrayals, slow poison. The underground hum of revenge tech. The blur of self in another's skin. Ending open. Redemption or ruin. Debatable. Like all good tragedies. Then the call, Richard. Collect from county. I accepted. Voice steady. Taylor. Rich.
Pause.
His breath ragged. I remember. Everything. The swap.
Your pain.
God. I was a monster. Where? I sipped wine. Legs tucked under.
AM. But. Why?
We could have talked. Counseling. Anything. Because talking failed. For years, I begged. Nights you'd come home reeking of her. Days you'd snap over nothing. I carried your weight till it crushed me. Tears pricked. Unbidden. The secret? Not just the money. You knew about the miscarriage, our baby. Gone at 16 weeks. Blamed me. Stress from work, you said. But it was you. Pushing. Always pushing. Silence. Broken.
I.
Forgot. Buried it. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Too late. Or spark enough. The twist reversed again. In his eyes, my old eyes, I saw fracture. The swap had gifted him my scars. Forced empathy's blade. Trials in January, he whispered. Testify for me? Leniency. I weighed it. Controversial choice. The ultimate debate. Free him. Chain myself to forgiveness? Or let justice grind? Risk becoming the villain? Decide in court, I said. Wear the suit I bought you. Look the part. Hung up. Heart pounding. Max whined. I scratched his ears. Morning brought decisions, therapy. First session booked. The book deal signed. 7 figures now. Agency thriving under my hand. Campaigns bold and unapologetic. Court day. Packed house. Harlan presiding with wry amusement. Richard entered. Gaunt in my old Armani. Eyes haunted. Elena, disbarred and deposed, glared from the back. Patel called witnesses. I took the stand last. MS. Hayes, Harlan began. You admit to using unlicensed neural technology?
Yes.
Your Honor.
Gasps.
Desperation breeds innovation. But the crimes? His. Evidence mounted. USB's full glory. Harlan's plea deal implicating all. Richard's testimony cracked. I did it. All of it. Taylor paid literally, figuratively. She deserved better. The laugh came again. Harlan's, softer this time. Son. Understatement of the year. Sentence, 10 years. Federal pen. Restitution full to your ex-wife. Gavel fell. He met my gaze. Forgiveness? Pity? I nodded.
Once.
Outside. Snow dusted the steps. Media frenzy a blur. Brittany hugged me. Free bird.
Was I?
The swap's echo lingered, his cunning in my strategies. My heart in his regrets. Happy ending? Tragic? Readers would argue. As I did in quiet moments. But driving south on I-94, Max's head on my shoulder, windows down to taste freedom's wind, I chose reinvention. America's promise, from ashes, empires. Mine started now.